Our next workshop, Creating a Magnetized Company Culture, will be led by Chris Steer. Chris is a Hopkins alum, managing director at EntreQuest, and a member of TCO Labs Board of Directors. Chris graduated Hopkins in 1995 with a BA in political science and was a member of the lacrosse team. He also received his law degree from the University of Maryland School of Law. Chris is an experienced entrepreneur, business advisor, and attorney, and today he will be talking about creating a company culture and motivated employees.
I have a clicker. This thing right here. Good afternoon. Well, come on, folks. It's only 3:30. We're a little bit behind schedule. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Awesome. So it is awesome to be here. I'm so excited. This is actually a dream come true in many respects because this is actually something I see my friend Kelly Keenan-Trumpel in the audience now, who you'll be hearing from later. So you're in for a treat there. This is something that we actually started talking about more than 3 years ago, creating more of a galvanized group movement at Homewood for entrepreneurship. And so to see this actually come to fruition now is awesome. But if you are able, please stand up. Please stand up. All right. Shake it out a little bit. All right. I only have you guys for less than a half an hour. Take a deep breath. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. One more. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Last one. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Now, I want you to do one thing for me before I really get cranking here, is the person next to you, I want you to share something that you've learned today, okay? Share something with someone next to you or near you. Don't want to single you out over here. That you learned today, number one. Number two, something that you're grateful for. You get 30 seconds. Tell me one thing you learned today.
How to start?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. And then one thing you're grateful for.
Sorry?
One thing that you're grateful for.
I'm grateful for everything I have.
Love it. Thank you, man. All right. You can grab your seat. There goes my mic. You know what? I don't even need a mic unless we need one in the back. Does it? Okay. All right. So, like I said, this has been a few years coming. I'm on the board of TCO Labs. I'm an advisor and mentor to many Hopkins-based startups and early-stage businesses and entrepreneurs. That's something that I really love to do. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I've been either a founder or a principal in 6 early-stage organizations, one of which was sold, another which was successful, 2 that went nowhere, okay, and 2 that are a work in progress, to be determined. And I think that that's pretty consistent with some of the messaging that you've heard from Dave Troy and Paul, is that, you know, it's really easy to prop up the Elon Musks of the world, but the fact of the matter is there's going to be a lot of trial and error, and there's going to be a lot of times where you learn a great deal from being a part of an organization that maybe doesn't go anywhere, but maybe that spawns the next idea. And so, yeah, I was a Krieger School of Arts and Sciences graduate. I was on a few great teams here as well. And that's really where I think my professional trajectory went as an entrepreneur, as an attorney, as a management consultant, is all around great teams. I was on some great teams here, and I've been on some amazing teams in my professional life. And that's what I really want to talk to you guys about today, because how many of you, because since I just got onto the podium here, or onto the front of the room just increased by 100%. I'm going to tell Jake that later. But how many of you are involved in a startup right now? Okay, so it's maybe a quarter. Okay, how many of you aspire to be a founder or part of an early stage or a startup organization? Okay, how many of you aspire to be employed? Oh my God, that's amazing. It's almost 100%. So this message is actually relevant for all of you, okay? Because this is about building great culture. And when I say great culture, I don't mean the Googleplex, okay? I don't mean beer and ping pong, okay? I mean something more substantive. I mean something around mindset, okay? Because when I say culture, what does that even mean to you guys? Somebody throw something out. When I say culture, you think of what? Food. Family. Language. Tradition. Music. Right? What?
Ideology.
Sorry?
Ideology.
Ideology. Thank you. Great one. Right? And so that's the words that we're using now, that's deeper. That's got some stickiness to it. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about, because culture is the way we do things around here. And so whether you're starting an organization and you want to attract people to it, or whether you're actually going to join an organization, this is now more than ever, we are really putting companies in the crosshairs as far as, well, what's it going to be like there for me? I'm top talent. I want to go somewhere. What's the culture like? What is that culture going to be like for me? And so this is, if you haven't started thinking about the cultural element, the how we do things element, then it's time to think about that. Especially nowadays where we're tending to elevate sort of the altruistic part of business, right? Jake mentioned B Corps. There's more and more B Corps starting every day because there is this higher degree of purpose for the individual that's now aligning with the ideology or the purpose of the organization. And when that happens, you can attract fire-breathing unicorns. Have you ever seen one of those, by the way? Fascinating. Fascinating. So this is what I typically see when I'm advising entrepreneurs or even advising startups. They're like, oh my God, I need to bring somebody on. So I got to hire somebody. I got to bring, like, they're not thinking about, have I established my own culture here? Do I even know how to approach great talent and say, well, this is how we do things around here. And in fact, for your role, this is what good looks like in this role. And let me tell you about what that is. No, it's the expeditious approach to bringing people onto your organization as opposed to the strategic approach. You've all heard the old adage, can't see the forest despite the trees. This is what I see entrepreneurs do. Oh my God, I need somebody who can code. I need to go out and hire somebody. They're not thinking about if that person is a match at all. Oh, you can do Python, whatever. I don't care. Like, okay, great, you're hired. Wrong. Like, wrong approach. Are they even going to be right for your culture? Can they augment your culture? Or, in fact, are they going to bring your culture down? And so let's move away from this, all right? I don't know if this thing will actually start or not. No? Okay. This is hilarious, and you're going to miss it because apparently that doesn't work. But what we want to get you away from is this stale culture and more of where you wake up and you get to do the work that you get to do. And your hair is on fire. This is hilarious. I wanted to show you this because this is a roller coaster, okay? And this guy's, what he experiences as he's ticking up, they're asking him a bunch of questions. And he's trying to remember what the questions are, and he's getting really anxious and excited about what it is. Working on it. It's okay.
We got it. Don't you worry.
Oh, there you go.
Wait, yeah.
There we go. See if we have audio for that too. It'd be great. Okay.
Okay, can
Listen.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Here's the story again.
Okay.
According to ESPN, baseball team the Los Angeles Dodgers played the San Francisco Giants in their 2009 home opening game.
Okay.
In the game, Dodgers second baseman Orlando Hudson hit for the cycle. That means Hudson hit a home run, a triple, a double, and a single, all in one game.
Right.
The final score of the game was Dodgers 11, the Giants 1.
Okay.
Go louder, Mike. How many runs did the Dodgers score in the game?
19.
Holy crap! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, repeat the last one! Repeat the last one! Okay. Ask me a question! Holy! Oh my god!
All right. So this is the kind.
The Los Angeles
First of all, he
Dodgers
gets all the questions wrong. He's not answering any of the questions that they was asking.
What's it called when you...
So, thank you for indulging me in that. It's just like that's what we want people to be excited about it, right? We want people to have the mindset that they get to be there and do the things that we do. And so, the purpose of showing you that is, you know, he had all this anxiety and about starting the beginning of this journey. But once he was on it, man, his hair was on fire. And so, we want to have people who are excited to be where we are, what we've even created. And so, raise your hand if you've heard of Seth Godin before. Okay, a few of you. This is the only text-heavy slide I have, I promise. Everything else is going to be imagery or videos. But this is so important. He nails this so well. And, you know, I'm sorry, you have to hear me for half an hour anyway, so I'm going to read it out loud just so we're all together on this. When I write about linchpins and people on a mission, I often hear from bosses who ask a variant of, any idea how I can find people like that for my business? It's unreasonable to expect extraordinary work from someone who was entrusted to create it. It's unreasonable to find someone truly talented to switch to your organization when your organization is optimized to hire and keep people who merely want the next job. It's unreasonable to expect that you'll develop amazing people when you don't give them room to change, grow, and fail. This is culture, folks. And most of all, it's unreasonable to think you'll find great people if you're spending the minimum amount of time and money necessary to find people who are merely good enough. Building an extraordinary organization takes guts. The guts to trust the team, to treat them with respect, and go to ridiculous lengths to find, keep, and nurture people who care enough to make a difference. He just nails it, okay? Raise your hand if you've been a part of an organization that has a phenomenal culture. Cool, that's more than half of you. Okay, so shout out some of the reasons why. Why? What made it so great? Besides food and music and blah, 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 blah. Inclusive. They love the work. Flexibility, big. Customer focus, cool. Communication. Transparency is a big one, especially nowadays. I'm sorry? Mentors, an often overlooked one. Sorry? Intrinsic motivation. These are all awesome. So what we have found is that the organizations that really fail in culture, they only focus on the talent acquisition piece. They don't focus on the full life cycle. I'm not going to dwell here very long, but they don't think about engagement. They don't think about high performance. They don't think about any of these things. They're just focused on getting the body in the seat. And that culture becomes stagnant and stale. Doesn't work, right? Because right now, there is I'm not going to be too hyperbolic here, but some of the more recent data doesn't merely suggest, it affirms that 70% of the workforce is disengaged. Ugh, that sounds terrible, right? I mean, do you want to be somewhere where the person to the left of you and likely the person to the right is not engaged in the work they do or love the work they do? We're a disengaged, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to bring people onto my team that are part of that. We're distracted, okay? Great talent always has options. We don't want them to be distracted. We want them to be engaged, right? And we're distrustful. We were commenting earlier about the importance of trust. Trust is huge. Trust is often one of the top 3 things when people are describing great culture that comes out. They feel like, I am trusted and I can be trusted, right? And I trust my manager. Like, these are things that are super important. Guess what? Talent won the war. You guys may have heard this expression. Oh, there's been a talent war going on. Talent won. If talent won, what do you need to do to ensure that you can be an attractor and an engager of top talent? Well, part of it is creating this culture of attraction, this culture of magnetism, all right? Because what we don't want is a caged and controlled culture. We don't want one that's too comfortable and complacent, right? But we want one that is charged and challenged, okay? So, you know, the days of I'm going to work somewhere for 40 years and retire and get my pension, those days have been gone for quite a while, right? So it's not about retention. It's about engagement. Like, we have, for one of the positions within my organization now, EntreQuest, which we are really shifting the work world to transform the real world. Our average tenure for some of our positions, we know exactly how many months that we expect someone to be there. That's great, because there's a quid pro quo there. We're going to help you develop professionally, and you're going to give us everything you got. And we want you to be engaged and happy about it. And that's fine. It's a contract of sorts, right? And there's an understanding between both parties. Reid Hoffman has done some great writing on this. If you've ever, the founder of LinkedIn, has done some great writing more recently in a book called The Alliance. It's some pretty interesting reading if you care to go there. So what we are learning more and more, and I want to tie this in a little bit to science, which is neuroscience has really taken over how we talk about engagement and culture in the workplace. And so what we talk about it a lot these days is the brain in your head, the brain in your heart, the brain in your gut, right? And so if you want to create a magnetic culture, let's engage people at all three levels, the head, the heart, and the gut. Because what we have found is that when you engage people this way, they are going to know, they're going to own, and they're going to drive your mission, right? They're going to be connected to it in a way that they've never experienced before, and they're going to want to really be all in. Because now we can, through the use of data and engagement studies, we can actually now measure profitability, productivity, and purpose, right? Based on how engaged the team is. And in fact, Paul didn't go into this very much, but he was the first investor into Imperative. Imperative has built an entire organization around purpose and purpose measurement. It's fascinating, right? And so this is about engagement. So we focus on all three, the head, the heart, and the gut. So for an evolved employee, and these are the kind of people that we want to attract to our organization, right? First, it's mindset. Mindset is everything. Someone may have said that when I was asked the first question. What is their mindset when they are at your organization? Look, we spend more than a third of our lives in our work life. Like, that's where we spend a third of our time. So we've got to make that better. When people leave the office, we want them to leave being better people, not just better workers, better people, better friends, better spouses, better whatever, better partners. So I'm not going to go into all the diagramming here, but once that mindset is the foundation, good things happen. Okay, so it's mindset is the brain in your head, because empowerment comes from that belief. We know this very well from working with the largest organizations to the startups. Okay, if they are empowered, if they believe, then behavior can change. If you don't give them a belief, then behavior will never change. So it's an important piece, not only from the front end of hiring people, but then engaging people along the way. It's not just the first piece of that. It's this whole mindset around, I have to. We do this exercise earlier this week. I was facilitating a workshop for a group of leaders at a large billion-dollar organization, and they're far-flung. They do international education work, and we had them write down 25 things. Say, what do you have to do today? Right, just take a minute and write down 25 things you have to do. People wrote them down. And so then we said, now look at that same list and say, what do you get to do, right? What do you get to do? And just that little switch, I'm not trying to be trite, but the little switch around having a mindset of being able to get to do something versus having to do something, it was, a couple people felt pretty conflicted about it, pretty convicted, if you will. Because in one case, one of the senior leaders said, oh gosh, I have to pick up my kids. And she's like, what am I thinking? I get to pick up my kids, going back to the flexibility point, right? That's a completely different mindset, right? And so those are the things that we really impress upon folks. The second is commit to your why. So if the one was mindset, the two is commit. Commit to find your why. This is around the purpose piece, right? There's a lot of organizations that we work with where if there's a very clear why for the organization, they tend to be very clear about who they bring on to lift and elevate them. And so have you ever done the exercise? Raise your hand if you've ever sat down and journaled or listed it out or typed it out. Like, what is your purpose? Raise your hand if you've done that before. Awesome. Cool. That's more than half. Okay. Did you find that to be a useful exercise? Why? For everything. Yeah, there's things that need to be removed, right? What else? Focus. And it's funny when you actually write something down, when you actually memorialize it, it gives it permanence of sorts. It makes it more real. So engaging with those individuals, that it is like gasoline on fire when you find people who have a purpose and a why that is aligned with your organizational purpose. You've got an engaged team. So this is interesting. I didn't even mean to do this, but we put Warby Parker up here. Warby Parker was founded by a Hopkins alum, right? And so these are organizations, just four. And somebody mentioned Patagonia earlier. That's one I'm following very closely right now. They have a very dynamic next CEO she took over about a year ago. She's amazing and really continuing the legacy of that organization. But these are organizations that they've got a purpose that people just really are attracted to. It's magnetic, right? And so Dave Choi said earlier today, do something that matters. Not just because of the work, but because you're going to have a line out the door for people that want to be a part of that, right? More so now than ever before. And then 3, courage. That's the gut. There's something to be said for trust your gut. I went with my gut. Well, there's all those neurons, and I'm not going to go into that because I'm going to be out of my league in that respect, but there is a brain in our gut, and we have to trust it, right? And that's the courage part, right? And so this is one of the things in the poll that I referred to recently about the 70% disengaged. One of the great questions that are asked during that survey is a paraphrasing of, do you have each other's backs? Like, that's arguably the most important question you can ask your team. Have you worked somewhere where you don't have someone did not have your back? A couple? Okay, yeah, the hands are popping up. Yeah, okay. A little bit more reflection. You're like, oh yeah, actually, that's very true, very true. And so having each other's back is the gut part of this. And so what we tend to talk about a lot is the sincerity, the competence, and the reliability. But you could put a lot of different words in that. It really ties back to the trust piece. But it is a very dynamic culture when I know that even if there's a client conflict, that my team has my back, right? Team first. That's a very powerful attractor from a magnetic perspective. Just another Simon Sinek. Carmen referenced Simon Sinek earlier today. I'm not going to show you that. So here's the deal. So bringing this home, a clear vision is paramount. A clear vision is paramount, and this goes back to if you are a founder, if you are an early stage partner, or even if you are as part of an established larger organization, if you are crying out for more clarity around the vision for the organization, or if it falls to you to do it, codify it, work it out, articulate it. This is something that is now more than, it used to be one of those things, when you talk about culture 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, it was that's the squishy stuff. I don't need that. That'll work itself out, right? But more and more over the last 10 to 15 years, there is such gravity to it because now we can actually measure it, right? And we can see how well we're doing and not doing. And we can tie it to business outcomes, okay? So this stuff is so important. And I recently met with a company that had grown very quickly. They had gotten to 150 million almost overnight. And they were looking around and they had 150 people in their headquarters. And the senior leadership team got together and said, people are starting to ask us, like, what are our values? What do we stand for? Like, people are thinking about, like, do they want to remain with us as we continue to grow or fall off the cliff? And we have no answer. And they were really concerned about the ability to retain their top people because there was no clear vision. There was no values that this company stood for. And so if that's going to be the case, you're really teetering on the brink of a culture that's not going to be magnetized and not going to be engaged. Here's another good example for you guys as you're building. This is really more specific to those who are in leadership positions of early stage or more mature organizations, is having a really clear idea of what is good. So in other words, you're not guessing. You've done the analysis, you've done some assessment, you know the personalities, the motivators, the competencies that make up something good in this role. That gives you so much clarity. Also knowing comp, also knowing the benefits, also knowing the average tenure for someone in this. This is all about what is good. Have a good roadmap for that. It's relevant. And then, look, this seems so, this is like the head-slapping duh, but the interview process is so overlooked. It's like onboarding. People screw up onboarding royally, and they should be pouring so much into that first 90 days as an example to make that such a rich experience. But interviewing is the same way. If you can't inspire somebody during the interview process, if you can't give them a clear vision for where you're going, that's your first miss, right? So that's just a little kernel for you guys to think about, is how do you create a process that is just really from the get-go, not only giving a reflection into your soul and the soul of the company, but really having people stand up and say, wait a minute, this is something I can get behind. That's the idea. And then keep having your teams continue to fall in love beyond those first 30 days. What do you want them to know, feel, and do? You know, after 30 days, after 60 days, after 90 days? What should they be reflecting about your brand at those increments? Like, just think about those things. All right, so finally, based on what you just heard over the last 26 and a half minutes, is, you know, based on this whole idea of creating a magnetized culture, what will you stop doing? And this is something you can actually employ across your organizations, just whatever your role. What should I start doing today based on what I learned? What should I stop doing immediately, right? If you're being honest and you're being introspective, right? And then what can I shift? What can I shift and take a different approach? Like, that's just a nice little easy exercise that you can do every now and then, just to keep yourself, check in with yourself, check in with the vision for your organization. That's it. Thank you very much. I'm going to hang around a little bit for the next couple hours. So if you want to get me later, feel free to do so. Thank you.